What's good, YouTube? Jason Levi here with Northwest Podcast. If you hear a little bit of noise in the background, you're going to have to excuse me. That's just the fans in my room going. So yeah, let's talk about feminism. The beautiful, wonderful feminism. So mgtow men, you should be absolutely 100% sure and convinced that your number one enemy is feminism. There's no other enemy to men that's greater than this. Feminism has become radicalized. It's become aggressive. It's become militarized almost. It's become dangerous for society in general. It's man-hating, it's misandrist, it's gang-like, and we saw this, when Donald Trump won. We saw the reactions, we saw, the riots, we saw how the left acts, how liberals act when they don't get their way. And speaking of Donald Trump, I, for one, 100% fully believe that Donald Trump got elected. If it's not rigged, it might be rigged. If it's not rigged, then in my opinion, Donald Trump 100% got in the office because of feminism, because of the left, radicalized liberalism, okay? Third wave socialism, whatever you want to call it, whatever these guys, whatever classification you can put on the left, and there's lots. You can put lots of classifications. You can call them Marxists, you can call them communists, you can call them socialists, whatever you want to call them. Okay. I'm not hateful against communism. I'm not hateful against socialism. I'm not like, oh gosh, feminism, all these things. On paper, some of these things sound okay. On paper, maybe some of these ideals are noble. But unfortunately, in reality, we see something else. There's a different reality. We have a different experience. We have a different reality of these things. And it's dangerous. It's sick, it's sad, it's twisted, and it's hypocritical, it's wrong. It's just wrong. There's nothing else you could say. Every liberal, every far leftist, every feminist I've ever talked to, ever, was bitter, aggressive, angry, attacking. I can't recall ever speaking to someone who was calm, to someone who was thoughtful, who wanted to hear what I had to say, that wasn't constantly accusing me of being a misogynist and being a loser who can't get laid, every single time. And this is what's going to happen with mgtow men when you start talking about this. When you go out there, whether it's social media, I wouldn't say do it with your family. I wouldn't say, if you have a family, I wouldn't recommend that. Just for the same reason you wouldn't talk about politics in general with your family. It's divisive. It's negative. So don't do that with your family. But if you have the balls to take to the streets, for instance, if you have the balls to go on social media, for instance, and which I think is good. I think that we should do that. As I said in my last video, we need to talk about it. We need to have a voice. The difference between us and feminism and MRA is MRA doesn't have a voice. And not only do they not have a voice, they're not even in the ball game. They're not even in the ballpark. They're trying to be like, oh, let's make our relations between women and feminists real nice. Well, why? These people are our enemy. They're attacking us. Sure, they'll break bread with you, and so they can stab you in the back, so they can quiet you down and quell the truth that you're trying to speak. MRA is bullshit. I haven't heard nothing from them. Nothing. They're pansies. They're betas. I don't know what the fuck you want to call it. I haven't heard nothing from them. Therefore, they've failed. Okay. Feminism isn't gonna tell the truth. They're not gonna stand up for men, even though feminism is supposed to be equality for both men and women. They're not gonna do it. They're gonna speak and dwell on 100% women issues, and they have, and they've beat those issues into the ground. No one is saying that rape is okay. No one is saying that rape is not a problem on paper, statistic wise or whatever. What have you. But to take that and to constantly use it as a tool to beat men over the head, to instill fear in men, that's what they've been doing. They've been instilling this fear through, double speak, double standards, reverse psychology, accusations, constantly. Like I said, mgtow man, you will experience this if you go out and you speak about this, whether it's on social media or otherwise. You will experience it. Okay? They will attack you. Anytime you say anything negative about women, you will experience the backlash. And I'm just saying, get ready for it. It's good. It means you're speaking something right. Okay? Now, you shouldn't attack back. Don't, always take the high road. Don't get into name calling, right? Do your best not to, and just speak from your own perspective. Men know what we're talking about. They know because they've experienced it. So you're not alone. You're only alone in that you're actually speaking about it, and the other men don't want to. I've had men follow me and comment that they like what I'm saying and they're for me and everything, and they're not even mgtow men. But they won't do exactly what I'm doing. They won't speak about it because they don't want to ostracize themselves. They don't want to alienate themselves. And I understand that. And if that's your stance, if that's what you've chosen, if that's your, philosophy, to be quiet and kind of just let things go, but you still support men who are speaking the truth, then I don't really have a problem with you, because I understand where you're coming from. You don't want conflict. You're a peaceful man. You're a peaceful person. Now, some people are very drastic and extreme and say, well, if you're not standing up and backing up the truth, then you're implicit, with the negatives or whatever. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that I would prefer everyone speak about it, because everyone should speak the truth. But I understand if you don't. I understand where you're coming from. I get it. But hey, you support and what we're talking about, then I got no problem with you. Because deep down the truth, and it's really what mgtow should be about, is the truth. It's just the truth. We're telling the truth. We've gone our own way. We've backed off from women, and we're telling the truth because this is what we've experienced, and we would like to help other men who are going through similar things, who are younger than us, whatever, right? We want change. I want change. I'm not just going to go my own way and let the liberals take over. It's nonsense. So we have a president who got in office because the left is so crazy and so out of hand, and he's honest. He's unabashedly honest. Women like money. Because of that, he could grab them in the pussy. Is that sexual assault to a lot of feminists? Yeah. Did the women that he grabbed or whatever, did they have a problem with it at the time? No. Why? Because he had money. So that exposes your gender right there. That exposes you. If a man has money, he can do what he wants, which is exactly what Donald Trump said. He told the truth. Is he a sleazebag? Sure. Is he a bigot? Sure. But he's an honest sleazy bigot. He's honest. He grabbed some women by the pussy. And they let him because he had money. What does that say about him? It says that he's a sleazy guy. He's a sleazebag. He's a jerk. But moreover, what does it say about women? The women who allowed him to do that. Because he had money, he got a free pass. This is the society that we're living in. This is the hypocrisy of feminism. Oh, and then all of a sudden, when money's on the table, when Hillary needs a push at the end of the election, 5 or 10 women come out of the woodwork and say he fondled me, he molested me, he raped me. And one of them was so afraid that she was going to get countersued that she made a public apology with her lawyer, Gloria Allred or whatever, and it was hilarious. I loved it. It was freaking genius. Because Donald Trump is a man. He may be a shitty man, he may be an asshole, but he's a man. And he's going to sue you if you talk some shit. If you say some, he's going to sue you for libel. You say something against him, he's going to sue you. And got these women shaking in their boots. They don't want to get sued. They don't want to have to pay thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for lawyer fees the rest of their life. So they're going to rescind their little lies. They're going to rescind their little accusations. Because they know what happened. Maybe he did grab them and fondle them. But they liked it because they were at that ball. They were the little whores at the rich man's ball. The problem with whores is they want to be more than whores. That's the problem with whores. They can never just say, okay, I'm a whore. This is what I do. I give up my pussy for money. I manipulate rich men. Okay? I'm a user. I'm an abuser. They never do that. They always try to act classy. They try to act like they're more than what they actually are. You're a pretty face. You're a commodity. You've been bought and paid for by rich men to fondle you, or whatever capacity you're around these rich men, and you can't just stay in that capacity. You need to manipulate and lie and take people to court and this, that, and the other, which even just further cements your worthlessness. Not only are you a whore, you can't even play that part of being a whore. You can't even stay in character. You got to try to be more than a whore. Right? What are these Hollywood divorces all about? These women do nothing but be pretty. And this is what we're saying to society. If a woman is pretty, she can get what she wants because that's part of her power or her prowess, I guess you could say. This is what feminism does. It tells women they're special, irregardless of their behavior, irregardless of their achievements. Okay, and on top of that, the cherry on top is you have a PC culture raising kids to be homosexuals, raising kids to be transgendered if they want to, if they so choose, which is, I don't know, borderline child abuse, if you ask me. Okay. What if a kid goes to school and he befriends a gay kid, and he's not gay, he doesn't know he's gay, he doesn't think that he's gay, but he befriends a gay kid, and the gay kid's like, oh yeah, I love cock, it's great. Then all of a sudden the kid starts to think he loves cock. How easy would that be? And then you have these neglectful, abusive parents who say, yeah, that's okay, whatever you want. It's nonsense. And this is what we're up against, guys. It's an attack against the nuclear family. Direct attack. Tearing down the nuclear family unit, tearing down any love, any resemblance of humanity between two loving adults, male and female. Do we even know what that is anymore? I rarely see people get married. I grew up with a whole bunch of kids, who I've got on my social media right now. And I would say 10% maybe are getting married and falling in love. And these are kids not from a big city either, from small town, kind of mid-sized city, small big cities. I come from a small big city, more or less, and then I moved to a big city. And it's different. The big cities it's hard. These values, these family values, are not passed down in bigger cities. It's more rare. It's everyone for themselves. You would think that the family values would be in the smaller big cities, but as a whole, people aren't getting married as much anymore. As a whole, people aren't falling in love with the opposite gender anymore. Why should they? It's a risk. Why do men go mgtow? Because there's so much risks involved with dating. Not only dating and marriage, not only that, the expectation on the male is astronomical. All the woman has to do is be good looking. Not even that anymore. I'm going to talk about simps in my next video. And it's an epidemic. We have an epidemic of simps in this world. We've got an epidemic of whores, and we've got an epidemic of simps. These elements are not good at all in our society. I don't know what anybody is thinking, but statistic-wise, divorce skyrocketed, which in turn causes kids to grow up and be criminals, which just harms society. Right? But, you know, we live in a culture that if anything goes wrong, if there's any little problems, you know, divorce is the answer. Splitting up is the answer. Don't work on your marriage. Don't work on your love. No one teaches that anymore. It's all about you. It's selfish. And you need to, you have standards and you're better than that. And you're this and you're that. Maybe you're not better than that. Maybe you have a bad marriage because you don't work on it. Maybe you're a selfish black hole of a succubus woman. Or man. Either way. Maybe you're just fucking selfish, and maybe you have a shitty marriage or a shitty relationship because you're the problem. Because you're not offering any solutions. You're not working towards anything better. And I see this all the fucking time. All the time. I'd say 90% of breakups are because one person, whether it's the male or the female, is fucking selfish, is an asshole. One of them is an asshole. One of them is, and usually in my experience, it's the female. I haven't even had a successfully serious dating life where I'm involved, where I'm interested, because I've had to take what I could get. Because the standards are so astronomical for men. The standards placed on me. Oh, I got to have a good job. I got to be great looking. I got to be great dressed. I got to say all the right things at all the right times. It's insane. And these women who are expecting this of me are sluts. They've got a bevy, a carousel of men in their phone that they could have cock from any night of the week. Oh, they're feeling a little bad. I said something that made them upset. Boom, they call their, you know, their side dude, one of the 20 that they've got on their phone, and he's at her door an hour later. It's so simple. It's so easy. And men gotta work. We gotta work hard to get even just a female. Unless we're incredibly good looking, or we got money, or we got social status, or something, right? Then we might have a more broad choice. But that's rare. I've got friends, even some of my friends who are quote unquote alphas and man's men, or, you know, good looking dudes who are not stupid, you know, and have ability to get women. Even they have a hard time. Even they struggle. Because the odds are not in our favor. This is what feminism has done. It's produced this misandrous society where women are subtly or not so subtly hating men. They feel that they have all the rights. They feel that they can do no wrong because their parents told them they couldn't, and feminism backed that up, and all their female friends who really don't even like each other, but they're unified under feminism, under this idea that they're all special. And it's basically a team. They're a team. And they know this. If you ever pay attention to how women talk to each other, you know they don't like each other, but they're a team. Because of feminism, they've treated each other with that. They at least have that respect for each other. I don't even know if I call it respect. They have a camaraderie where, it's like you go to work and you don't necessarily like or respect your coworkers, but you have a camaraderie because you have something in common. You're all working at the same company. That's what you have in common. So there's a sort of rapport there. And it's a rapport that generally is positive, generally is, you back one another up, you have that in common, you both work at the same place, and that's what feminism is. You got a lot of women who support each other on these pre-agreed ideals, which throw men under the bus. And the women who suffer are actually the good women. If there's, such a thing anymore. The women, the good women suffer because they want to support men. They want to support a man. And ironically, it's just like when you look at it holistically, these women are damned if they do, damned if they don't. Because even these women, these whatever nawals, if you want to call them, women who are against feminism, who see through the bullshit, even they have retained their standards. Even they have retained their standards on men. And they go for assholes. I'd say 90% of these type of women that I see, and I pay attention to society, sociopolitics, socioeconomic, I pay attention to these kind of things. I look and see what type of women are the ones who are being hurt by men in reality. And often these are the ones who are, believe in this man beyond a shadow of a doubt. Much of these men, okay, for instance, I'll give an example. I follow this group, this homewrecker group, because a couple years back I had a bad relationship and a woman cheated on me. And I felt the betrayal of being cheated on. I felt demeaned because, she walked all over me. And I made a mistake. I was playing a bad boy role to get women, because that's what I had to do at that point in my life, because women weren't attracted to the nice guy me, the regular righteous guy me. They wanted a bad boy. So I was playing that role. And unfortunately, you will get sex playing that role, but unfortunately you get the shitty ones, because the shitty ones are the ones who give up sex. Because there's something wrong with them usually. And she cheated on me. Now, I'm not saying that the good ones won't give up sex. I'm not saying the good ones, the good ones are the ones who don't, sleep around. I'm not saying they don't sleep around. I'm saying they do. It's just harder. It's easier for you to get a shitty one because their standards are lower. All that stuff, all that finances, dress well, have a good car, have your own place, those are all retained. Those are all still there. The difference is the real radical feminists, the real crazy ones, they'll just attack you for being a man. Those standards that women have are still there. They still want you to be Don Juan. They still want you to be the breadwinner guy. So I don't even, to some degree, I don't even feel sorry for these girls who have been home wrecked, quote unquote, by other women. They don't like other women because other women cause their man to cheat. But I don't feel sorry for them in a sense. I study that from a socioeconomic standpoint. I study it. It makes sense. Okay, they had a husband or a long-term boyfriend who cheated on them. And to them, they're more angry. They love their husband or long-time boyfriend so much that they're more angry at the woman than they are at the man. Which I could understand, but it's not fully correct. You should be mad at your man as well as that other woman. But you should also look at yourself and say, well, why did my man cheat? Sometimes sometimes they do nothing wrong. Sometimes a man just gets overcome with lust, which is natural and normal, and it's a thing for women to be more attracted to men who have It's just a thing. Don't think that when somebody says, oh, you're a loser, you never get laid, don't think that women don't think that way too. They do. Ironically, a woman will choose a man who gets a lot of pussy over a man who doesn't. It's more attractive to them. They don't care. Whereas it's the opposite for a man. A man doesn't want a woman who's been around and been used. But now we have no choice because of sexuality is so rampant. So you would think that if feminism was real, if it was genuine, that they would actually implement some kind of morality, some kind of moral standard. Not a moral law, but a moral standard in feminism. Right? We don't want to objectify ourselves in pornography. We don't want to become models showing our goods as if that's the only thing we have to offer humanity. Prove us wrong, feminism. Why are the only good feminists the Lisa Simpsons? That doesn't make any sense, ladies. You are utilizing your sexuality and calling it power, and it's not power. It's a faux power. F-A-U-X. I think I spelled that right. Faux, meaning it's a duplicate, but it's not real. It's not real power, ladies. Sexuality is not real power. It's objectifying yourselves. It's lust. Guys, we know this. We know this. But there's an army of simps out there. And I'm going to talk about this in my next video. There's an army of simps saying, it's okay. You're so beautiful. Oh, you can do no wrong. This is the attitude. And so it gives them fuel and it backs up it backs them up. Backs up their behavior. Oh, I'm gonna go be a slut because that's power. It's hypocritical. It's nonsense. Feminism is nonsense. It's radicalized. It's misandrist. It's hateful. It's aggressive. It helps nothing at this point. We all know rape is wrong. We all want equality. Same pay for the same work. We're all for that. You don't have to. These are antiquated ideals. You're beating a dead horse because you have nothing else, because you are actually aggressive towards men in reality. That's the truth of the matter. If we expose what feminism really is, it's aggressive towards men. It's hateful towards men. It's creating misandry, matriarchy. Trust that that's what it is, because that's what I'm hearing every time I speak about women, every time I speak to a feminist. Hateful towards me. And it's spreading to these little betas, these little guys, these little men who don't know any better, because that's their culture. And some of these little fuckers are fake. These little fakers. They're just pretending, the little white knights, the social justice warriors, they're pretending to care about women's issues because they want to get laid. And that's to your own detriment, because you're going to be attracting the most shitty women. And that's really all I got to say. There's so much more. We know, guys. We know feminism is wrong, but I don't think we understand fully that it's our number one enemy. We need to get that. We need to understand that feminism is our number one enemy. Absolutely, because it's misandrous. It's hateful towards men. It's demeaning towards men. They want to tear down the supposed quote-unquote patriarchy. So what they really want to do is they want to neutralize male accomplishment. They want to neutralize male advancement or just advancement by a male. They hate that. Because every time an Elon Musk shows up on the scene, every time a Steve Jobs shows up on the scene, they are not involved in that. And they know it. They're not involved in advancement. It's always males. Whether they're black or Chinese or Arabian or South American, whatever. It's always males, and they hate it. And they can't produce. They cannot produce. I'm not saying there's no women geniuses. I'm not saying there's no women innovators. But compared to men, it's sparse, right? And they know this, and they hate it. So what they're trying to do is, instead of, being better, improving themselves, creating more proteges, more geniuses, more gurus, more important leaders in the female spectrum, instead of doing that, which is what they should do if they really wanted equality, if they really could stand their own up to men, hold their own, stand on their own 2 feet, they would just improve. They would become better. But instead of becoming better, they've attacked. So instead of just being more innovative and more creative, etc., they're attacking the male innovators. They're attacking, and they're doing this through the children. They're trying to get the children to be, and it's child abuse. The kids are going to go 20, 30 years and wake up and realize they are not, they're pawns, they're tools. They're not necessary. They're being used to further a socio-political agenda. All these little betas, the social justice warriors, the white knights, you're tools. You're being used. They don't care about you. They're going to discard you whenever they get a chance. You are useful idiots, unfortunately. And I feel sorry for you. It's to your own detriment. You're hurting yourself and other men. And this is the era that we're coming into. This is the time that we live in, and we have to speak about it. We have to fight about it. Otherwise, it's gonna get out of hand, and it already has. We now have a guy who, for all intents and purposes, really is a misogynist, really is a bigot. Unfortunately, he said some things and he apologized, and he said some other things and he didn't apologize. I don't trust this guy. If we're looking, he makes Obama look like a saint, as full of lies and doublespeak and hypocrisy as Obama was. Trump is, he's the main course. And I get caught up in it in him from time to time too. Oh yeah, like he told Rosie O'Donnell she's a fat pig. Like, I fucking love that. She is a fat pig. She needs to shut her fucking mouth. He's right. But then he also turns around and totally does something that throws himself under the bus. Like, says he would have sex with his daughter if his daughter wasn't his daughter. I mean, that's just, you just slap your forehead and you're just like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you talking about? And when he said that guy, that Mexican judge was unfit to do his job because he was Spanish. I mean, man, even some things, even in PC culture, some things he says, or I'm saying, even if we didn't have a PC culture, some of the things he says are just outlandish. They're crazy. And that's what America wants, because they're so fucking sick. That any day is better than feminism, is better than the left, liberalism. It's ridiculously better. And that's what we got, because that's what it does. That's what the PC culture has created. It's like a pendulum swinging from one side to another. It goes all the way one way and all the way to the left. Feminism has to go now. It has to go. Maybe there was patriarchy back before the 1960s and 50s, and maybe there was a lot of misogyny in the home. Maybe women were expected to be in the kitchen and they had no voice, whatever. Maybe that's true. And I've even talked to people who are old and from back then and remember, and they said, no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like how they make it. All right. Even if that's true, feminism has to go, because it's like, even if that was fully true and every man who had a nuclear family in a home was a misogynist, that's one side of the spectrum. It's gone all the way to the other side. Now it's just straight up man hate. They hate you because you're a male, not because you're a misogynist, not because you're, a bigot. It's really because you're just a male, and that's what feminism has become. So I think we all need to take a good long look at it. understand what it is, universally just agree that it's shit at this point. It's absolute shit. It's wrong. It's detrimental for society. It's detrimental for women. Statistically, women aren't happy. Statistically, you look up Gavin McInnes. He talks about this. Statistically, women are not happy in this new modern feminist age. Women actually are happiest as mothers at home. They really are. It's a statistic that has been studied, and that's the way it is. So we got to wake up at some point, even for the betterment of our own women. They want to be at home. Statistics. Sorry, you can't argue with facts. You can't argue with statistics. Maybe you feel like you don't want to be at home. But then, what happens when you hit 40? And you never had kids, or you had kids, but there was no father around. You realized your child needed a father growing up, but you were so anti-man and anti-men and hateful towards males that you were so caught up in your power because you had so much attention and everyone made you feel good because you're a female and you could get anything you want. Well, what happens when that all dries out and you hit 40 after you hit the wall? 5 years after you hit the wall. You're coming into menopause. You're losing your hormones. Men aren't calling you as much as they used to. They aren't hitting on you anymore. And what are you? You're a shell of a person at that point. You're a has-been. Oh, I used to be so pretty. I've seen it happen. And then you just become withdrawn, negative, angry, and antisocial. What a sad way to go. You had everything when you were 20, and you had tits, and everybody wanted to fuck you. You were happy as a clam. Everybody could see how happy you were. Now that you're 40 and you've never been married, or you got married and you got a divorce, and you hated men for 20 years, and you just slept around, so you had no morals or no, spiritual essence about you. You were just used goods. And now what are you? You're a has-been. You could have had a family. You could have had children you were proud of. They're growing up to be good members of society, adjusted. But all your kids are radicalized, and they're on drugs, or they've become, homosexuals. They've become transvestites, and you're broken down, and you live in an apartment, and you just got you're not worth anything. You're not worthwhile. You're not a human being that has fulfilled their purpose and run their course properly. Because you believed in this crazy ideal that told you had power over men, and you could use that power to get whatever you want and accuse men and harm them and get revenge for the time that guy broke up with you, that all the assholes who broke up with you, who you shouldn't have been dating in the first place because they were assholes. So you're going to take it out on all men. It's craziness. It's craziness. And we got to wake up. We got to wake up as a nation. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Jason Levi, Northwest Podcast.